brought to you by ECB Sports Management, as well as Combat Sports Investing, the leading betting page of the industry. Hi guys, Chris from MMA Island here today with UFC veteran Cody Gibson. Cody, how's it going today?
It's going good. Everything's going, flight got delayed a few hours, but we got in like at 3 a.m. last night, so sleep schedule's a little weird, but for the most part things are going pretty good.
How excited are you for this upcoming fight?
I'm stoked, man. It's been 2.5, almost 3 years, so I'm just excited to be back in there. It's been too long, so.
What was the reason for the 3-year layoff?
2019, I had 2 injuries and surgeries. I tore my bicep, and then I ended up tearing up my shoulder and needing surgery. So a lot of physical therapy that year, and just frustration that I wasn't able to fight. And then going into 2020, I was kind of optimistic that I would get busy and active, and obviously everything shut down. So yeah, a couple, not just 2020, but 2019 was also a frustrating year for me. So excited to be back in there.
And I know this fight's going to be packed, jam-packed full of fans, but were you kind of curious on how it was to fight without a crowd?
I mean, I've been watching the stuff they're doing in the UFC at Apex. I don't think I would like it. Like, it just feels awkward, Like, I don't know. Like, we were just talking about that the other day when Corey Sandhagen knocked out Frankie Edgar with that knee, and it was like silent, and it was just kind of like eerie. Like, I don't know if I would. I mean, I think when you're in there, you're fighting, it probably wouldn't matter too much. Although I think you do feed off the crowd's energy, So I haven't ever experienced that, and I don't intend to unless I have to.
And you're facing off against Louis. Can you pronounce his last name? Sandakis?
Yeah, something like that. So Sandakis, I think it's something to that effect. Yeah, I'm fighting him.
Yeah, what are your thoughts of him as an opponent?
Kind of a last minute change. We've had about 3 or 4 weeks to get ready for him. He's a southpaw, good jiu-jitsu. His stand-up's gotten better over the years from when he first started.
You watch?
Yeah, I don't know.
I know John Dodson, he had that unfortunate car accident. What was your thoughts on his accident, and did you have a message to send to him?
Yeah, I just reached out and felt bad for him and his family. Like, I have 2 daughters and a wife, and what he went through is like literally my worst nightmare. Like, your whole family in the car toppling upside down, that kind of stuff. And I'm just happy that they're all okay. I know he's got a GoFundMe account. I think it's kind of unfortunate that fighters have to do that, but I'm going to be donating 10% of my purse to try to help any way I can for him. People were tripping out that I was so, like, I don't know, compassionate, but it's like, we're human beings, And, like, to me, like, there's a lot more important things than fighting in the grand scope of things in life. So I'm happy they're safe and healthy, or at least recovering, and hopefully we could book a fight, down the road.
For sure. And, when the fight was announced, I don't think it was announced as a main event. Were you kind of surprised that, his last fight was on the main card of a UFC pay-per-view? Then you obviously have a big name yourself, having fought in the UFC and other promotions. Are you kind of surprised that this wasn't made the main event while it was still intact?
I don't really, honestly, I've been main event, I've been what they call the curtain jerker, like the first fight of the night too, so tell me when to get in there and fight, There's, obviously, if you're the main event, it draws a few more eyes on you, but at the end of the day, you go out and have a highlight reel knockout, that's what people are going to talk about anyway, so I'm ready.
And I'm sure a lot of people bring this up, but your UFC debut was against Aljamain Sterling. He's a champ on paper. Is there anything that you took away from that fight where it's like, hey, I just fought this guy, and maybe he's like, do you ever think that he would be like UFC championship caliber?
Yeah, I didn't know much about him going into that fight. It was just on 10 days notice, other than he's a wrestler from the East Coast, and we had a good fight. I won a round, he won a round, and he won the 3rd round, so we took the fight. And then we ended up training together for a few weeks after that, he reached out to me and came out to the West Coast and stayed at my house, met my family, and so I got to do a lot of training with him too. So I knew, he's a gifted athlete for sure, a hell of a grappler. His stand-up's come a long way from back then. So I knew that he was going to be a problem for a lot of people moving forward. I didn't know if he'd ever be a champion. And I know, is he the champion? Yeah, technically he's the champion. We'll find out when he gets his fight with Peter Yan if he's the real champion. But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from that fight, But my whole UFC tenure, I just kind of I doubted myself, a lot throughout that whole time. I came at the time from a small gym in a small town, and I didn't have a lot of experience training with a lot of high-level guys. So I think at that time in my life and career, I just had a lot of self-doubt. And you never show that to the public or to your opponents or outwardly, but when I look back on it and reflect on it, that's, I think, was my biggest kind of downfall, was doubting myself and not having the confidence I needed. Even if the physical and athletic ability was there, I just doubted myself too much. So I'm, now looking, 5-6 years later, I've been on a pretty good run, even with some spotty inactivity here and there. And I feel like the confidence is there now that I know that I can compete with the best, and so I'm looking to prove it on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. And is the UFC still in your dreams? Having fought for them in the past, you've had some you had some big name opponents too in your UFC run. But is the ultimate goal to get back into the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, I got into the sport really to test myself against the best in the world, And so whoever if that's John Dodson in XMMA or Luis Sandakis is pretty tough as well. Or if that's in the UFC, or Bellator's got a good stacked bantamweight weight class as well. I mean, if I had to choose my path and just predict, and create my own path and make it come to fruition, I would love to be back in the UFC for sure. But I also, but I can't make them sign me. I can go out and have good performances and stay active. That's what I can do on my end, and we'll see where the kind of cards fall. But I want to get back to a big promotion because I want to be fighting the best in the world.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Then, what do you think of the PFL format? Obviously, with their season format, and then you have the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow with the $1 million. What do you think of that season format?
I mean, I think it's interesting, it's a little bit hard to follow. I did watch this whole last season, or have been watching, the semifinals, the tournament starting for the different weight classes. But I do like the fact that it kind of takes the politics out of it, where you have champions who don't make the playoffs the next year. Or just because you have a name like an Anthony Pettis, it doesn't guarantee you a spot, into the playoffs. So I do like that kind of taking the politics out of it format. They don't have a 135-pound weight class. I actually, in 2019, the fights that I was offered and was planning on fighting in were at 145 to the PFL in the tournament. They offered it to me this tournament season as well, and we decided I don't really want to fight at 145 pounds. So we decided not to go that route, but if they ever open up a 135-pound weight class, I would definitely be interested for sure.
Got it. And then I just want to know your opinion on the politics of the bantamweight division right now, UFC bantamweight division. You have TJ Dillashaw, you have Corey Sandhagen, you have Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling, who you fought. Who do you think is going to be the champ in a couple of months?
Yeah, I think the weight class is as exciting as ever right now. With all the drama surrounding TJ and then the championship fight between Yan and Sterling. I think Peter Yan is the kind of uncrowned champion still. He's the one who's been dominant, and even in his loss to Aljamain, I mean, at the end of the day, he made a mistake. He lost the fight, but he was looking like he was on his way to another victory. So to me, he's still at the top. Sandhagen's a difficult fight for anybody. He's so long and he uses his links so well and he times things so well, but I think that he's got to improve his wrestling. He's got to improve even against the TJ fight, most people thought he won. If you're judging that fight based on damage, he obviously won the fight, but he got control a lot of the fight too. was a guy who had one leg, you know. TJ hurt his knee in the first round with that heel hook. So he's got to make some improvements in that regard, and if he does, I think he could be the champion. And then guys like Rob Font are super impressive too. Just his jab and his boxing. So I think that, and then there's other guys down further on the roster who are coming up. I know Sean O'Malley gets a lot of heat just because of everything surrounding him, but his skills are there. And then the dude who just fought Barcelo, the Russian dude, or Dagestani dude, I don't know. But that guy, I think it's Timuz or Timaz.
Valiev, right?
Valiev,
I think
that
so.
guy was super impressive too, and Barcelos is super impressive. So there's even guys that aren't necessarily, marquee guys that I think, are killers down on the roster. So to me, it's just exciting to see the bantamweight class kind of, sprout like it's sprouted, and it has become one of the toughest weight classes, I think, in the world.
And with TJ Dilshaw, like a lot of people say that his legacy is kind of like ruined because of the positive EPO test. Do you think that's true? And do you think he could wipe away that controversy with a few more good performances?
I don't know. I think back to other guys who've tested positive for things. Is their legacy tainted? I don't know. Is Anderson Silva's, is Vitor Belfort, will they go down as guys as Chael Sonnen? Are they going to go down as the PED guys? Or are they going to go down as legends with that little caveat or that little asterisk next to their name? For some reason, TJ's seem to be more backlash than others. And I don't know if that's just a part of him and that villain role that he likes to kind of take. I don't know. I don't take any performance-enhancing drugs. I don't know why he would. I know he was trying to get down to 125 pounds, so that was kind of his excuse. I don't know. I think if he comes back and he becomes a champion again and he's clean and he has another few years as a champion, I think he'll go down as a legend, so to speak, or somebody who ends up in the Hall of Fame. But I think right now, it still seems to be the center of conversation surrounding him.
For sure. And just going back to your fight, what can the fans expect to see from the Renegade this weekend?
Pressure, man. I come forward, throw a lot of volume, a lot of punches. I feel like Louis is not going to want to be in the pocket with me a lot, so I want to make it uncomfortable. I want to put him in uncomfortable positions and try to drown him. And I'm looking to finish the fight. Believe it or not, I am one of those people who look at like your finish ratio and like how many finishes, and so I'm looking to go out and get a stoppage. So however much I need to pressure him to make that happen, that's how I finish fights. I don't have to like go searching for the knockout, but they come to me once I get in my flow. So once I find my flow, it'll be fun to watch.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions I had. I just want to thank you again for the time. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans out there watching?
Yeah, just tune in. It's a Friday night card. I know there's a busy weekend of fights with UFC, Bellator, One Championship. But hit us up on a Friday night. Watch. There's a lot of good talent on the show. And just think that XMMA, this a newer promotion, it's kind of come back. But just stoked to be fighting on it. So tune in.